I don't even know the date. Today is the 27th of April. So we're closing out the month of April this week. Got a couple of cool guests on. We're going to kick off the week with some motivation for most of you. I've got one of my new this year athletes, Matt Shore. Is that how you say your last name? Shore?
Yep.
Yeah.
Shore. Just like
Shore.
seashore. Shore.
Shore.
Yeah.
It's like Mike Seore. I don't know if I've ever said Mike Seore's last name right. It's Sciore or something. I think it's like Shorey or I don't know. So I always call him Seore. It's easier. Yeah. So Matt, give us a little bit of your background as far as, I mean, your Instagram handle, Facebook handle, all that stuff is pretty telling of the story, I think.
Yeah.
You were what were you at your heaviest before you started endurance?
350.
350.
Yeah.
And what was your motivation? Like, did you just like wake up one day and you were like, you know what, I'm gonna do Ironman?
No, it was I knew I was getting too fat. So I saw one of those, I think you run the same challenge just with different meal plans. It's a 6-week challenge. And I saw it on my Facebook page. It just popped up. So I thought it was like a national ad. So I messaged them or I commented, and those friggin' guys, they called me back. And I wasn't expecting them to call me back. And they told me, we set up an appointment. I went in and talked to them, and I started a 6-week challenge. And then it just evolved.
Yeah.
So
give everybody, I mean, a lot of the people on the Team UHP page know who you are, because you're very, very active on there. But some of my other followers, listeners, friends, if you will, since we're on Facebook, may not know really much about like what you've done. So you were 350 pounds. Obviously I kind of alluded to, you started getting into your first triathlon was the Cazenovia Tri?
Yep, Kaz.
Yeah. So when did you start your initial 6-week challenge? And then when did you complete your first endurance endeavor, and where have you gone since then?
So the first day was July 1st. And so before that, I bought a mountain bike thinking it was a Trek Marlin 5 actually. And I bought a trainer tire and a dumb trainer. And I thought maybe I'll just ride my bike inside. I was too embarrassed to go outside. I was so friggin' fat. I mean, I was awful. So I bought that. I rode that for about 15 minutes and used it as a clothes rack. And then I started that challenge July 1st, and 3 weeks into it, I think I was down 35 pounds. And I decided to take that Marlin 5 and go buy a road bike. And actually, Joe Hatfield. I went to school with Joe Hatfield. And I remember seeing him post about going to Kona and doing the Ironman. And I've seen the Ironman on TV and stuff. So I decided to buy the road bike and just start riding it. And I grew up riding bikes. I've had road bikes when I was younger and stuff. So that just stemmed from there. And then I looked up, I Googled triathlon. I might have watched YouTube videos first to see what they were all about. And I don't know, I probably watched some, like a Marcus Cook story. The guy was like 500 pounds and he was doing them. So, I mean, obviously if he can do it, I can do it. So I signed up for Cazenovia and went and absolutely got butchered in that race. But, it was fun.
I think the flattest, hilliest course to do, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love that race now. That race is awesome. That's my A race.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still know the first duathlon I ever did. It was Mendon Ponds back in the day, but every year I'm like, oh, I should go back and do that again just to see like the evolution of, 10 years of racing where it is.
I'm
But
I'm hoping that they do it again. I hope it's not canceled. That's the one race I hope it's not canceled. Is Casanova.
yeah, and I mean, so all right, so we did so you did Kaz, and then what was your second race?
Let me see. So that was the only race I did in 2018, and then 2019 I did Hamtramck up at Hamilton College. So that was just a sprint, a pool swim, and a trail run. It wasn't really a trail; it was more like a mud run. Then I did Cayuga Lake Olympic distance, and that was a lot of fun. That course is fun, except the lake got really rough, so that was kind of awful. But it's a really flat run, and then that was it. I went right to Ironman in July, Lake Placid. So,
And you did Ironman. That was last year.
yeah,
And what was your total time?
16:54.
Yeah.
I think I had 6 minutes to spare.
6 minutes to spare. And
Yeah.
what were we talking about on the run? You ate a ham and cheese sandwich and you don't remember it?
I don't remember any of it. No. So I was thinking about this the other day. When people say they bonk, I don't think I've ever bonked. But when somebody was explaining what bonking was, and it's when your mind just stops working. So I think on the second half of that run out on what's the name of that road?
River Road.
Yeah, River Road. I think that's when I was bonking, because all I could think about is laying down and going to sleep and just stopping. And I don't know how I didn't stop. I just kept going, but
Yeah.
I was out of it. I don't really remember much of it.
The thing that, for anyone who doesn't know, and there's probably a handful of people who will either listen to this now or in a little while, there's great things about Lake Placid, and then there's not great things about Lake Placid. One of the great things is everything is two loops. So it's a two loop swim, a two loop bike, and a two loop run. And that's a great thing because from a pacing perspective, you're able to, like when you get out of the water on your first loop, let's say you do 40 minutes on your first loop with a swim, you kind of look and it's easy to gauge your pacing that way. But the downside of that is when you go to a dark place where, whether it's in this, it better not be in the swim. You shouldn't be getting into a dark place, in the first 2 miles of your 140 day. But when you're on like the bike and you hit Wilmington, like I always say, like the worst hill on the bike course is the hill right next to Wilmington Notch Campground. And that's because you come out of in 2017, we came out of Whiteface, and then you just turn and it's right there. So like it just kind of like slaps you in the face right before you get in to go over through the gorges. And it's just steep enough that it'll just zap your mojo. Like you could have a good rhythm and then you hit that and you're like, shit, now I gotta work for 10 minutes to get it back. And if you're not in a good space mentally, that can fry you. And then the other side is when you go out on the run, whether it's day or night, when you get out to River Road, like you're out on a country road. And you know this because within the first half a mile, there's a horse farm on the left, and there's like 400 acres of just open horse fields. So you're like, cool, there's no houses, there's no people. The only people you see are other athletes doing like a glorified death march at that point. And you're like, all right, I've got to go out here about 5 miles to turn around and come back and then do it again. And as you're doing that, there's four-wheelers that go by you with people who seemingly look more fit than you. And you're just thinking, as soon as you see the first one go by, you're like, oh shit, if he or she is dropping out man, maybe I should stop. because they're in really good shape, and look
Yep.
at them going by on that four-wheeler. Yeah, maybe I need some water. Maybe I need to eat something, and you just start like all of a sudden you get this cascade of thoughts, and you're out there, and there's really not a lot of people from a spectator perspective cheering you on. Everybody stays in town because that's where all the bars are. And
Yep.
then you work your way back into town, and then as soon as you come down the big hill and you pass Lisa G's, you go up the little hill, and then you start working your way back out there again. The crowds just like gradually get less and less, and then you hit like the horse track or the fairgrounds there, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm out in the middle of nowhere again. Now
It's
I'm
funny.
gonna be out here for a couple hours by myself.
I got on my second loop, I got outrun by a girl with a torn hamstring and some I can't remember their name. I'm friends with them. I just don't remember who they were. Like 70-year-old guy. They're out walking me, and I was all I'm doing is looking at my watch, thinking I don't know if I can get this done or not. And at some point, I was asking everybody at every rest area, what do we got left for time? And even that, it didn't really matter because I couldn't figure it out in my head anyways. I couldn't figure anything out.
Yeah.
So I just kept going.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is, but so to me, I look at that and, and it's, you've obviously, even before Ironman, you became very polarizing on social media because you were very open about your weight, about your goal, about your plans. I mean, I remember probably, I think it was even before Kaz Try, you had posted something along the lines of like, well, I'm going to be doing my first triathlon, but this is just like a stepping stone because I'm going to do Ironman. And people were like, you're crazy. You signed up for Ironman. You've never even done a triathlon and you're 300 pounds. And then you have the other half of CNY Tri people that are like, you can do this. Anything is possible. That's Ironman's mantra. And, honestly, I was like, this dude's nuts. But at the same time, I'm not kidding when I say that we had an athlete show up one day and she goes, I'm looking for a coach. I'm doing Ironman next year. And I was like, all right, let's talk a little bit about it. And I'm talking to her, and she had no bike, had never swam, and she was a good runner. And she's like, I'm going to do Ironman and I want to run a sub-4 marathon. Okay. So tell me, what do you run now? Like a 2:30? Like what are we talking? And I was like, yeah, how long have you been doing triathlon? She's like, well, I don't even own a bike. I was like, oh. She's like, well, my ex-boyfriend, said that he didn't think that I could do an Ironman, so I signed up that day and I'm going to prove him wrong. And I was like, you don't know how to swim, you don't have a bike, and you want to run a sub-4 marathon. She ended up doing Ironman in 14:32. I don't think she ran at the sub-4, but it was just one of those things where I'm like, you know what? She did. I think she did one or two races before that, but it's just one of those things that with Ironman, it's so mental, and you have to just have this mentality of literally like a never quit mentality.
Yeah.
And I've had more athletes. What's that?
So the one thing about Ironman is anybody can swim. If you could float, you could swim. I mean, some people sink, so obviously it's a little difficult for them.
I'm a sinker and I can do it.
I didn't. My swim form sucks. I'm slow. I mean, I'm really slow. But I grew up I was on a swim team when I was a kid, so I kind of know how to swim. And the run, anybody can run and walk. The bike is where, if you've never ridden a bike, hitting that keen descent, if you don't know how to ride a bike, you might not want to go down that hill. So that's why I don't know. I just freaking love the bike, but you really got, if you can master the bike, then you can do an Ironman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. I mean, and if you look at it from a mileage perspective, from a time domain, the vast majority of your race is spent on the bike. Should be
Yeah.
spent on the bike. Um, because you're riding 112 miles. And, if you can't run, you can always walk. But if you can't ride, then you have to walk. And it's really hard to go anywhere walking in cycling shoes as opposed to riding. So, but I mean, and that is the biggest thing is like, if you can, Ironman is all about, again, it's all about the mental capacity, but then it's all about volume. It doesn't have to be super high intensity, just has to be volume on volume on volume. But now you're a truck driver, right? By trade.
Yeah.
So how do you, and you've got a wife and a handful of kids, like how do you, like you still were able to get your work in, in
Well,
where did you
I
find
can,
that time?
so I'm a bad person when it comes to time. I hear people say, I don't have time. That's bullshit. Everybody's got time. You budget your time like you budget your money. And when you budget your time, you're going to see you have the time to do what you need to do. And so I can go into work whenever I want, as long as I get my load off. So I get up at 2 a.m. and I go to work and I get home at 2 or 3 and I do my workout. Sometimes I'll do it when I get home. Sometimes I'll wait until 4 or 5. And it's still not a lot of time, but I go to bed at 7, 8 o'clock. And I credit my wife. She does everything for me. She does the kids, she does my meals, she does everything. So time is just an excuse. There's always time in the day to do something. So I just do it. And now it's habit. If I don't get a workout in, I kind of get ornery and not very happy, especially if it's my bike. I ride my bike every day. So
That you do. So I'm going to ask a question I know the answer to, but how many hours a week would you say you work out?
Shoot, I don't know, 10 plus.
10 plus. So you managed to fit 10 hours of fitness in while working and having a wife, kids. And and you include your kids in a lot of like you're always posting pictures of you and in the family. Whether you guys are going out for a 5K or whatever.
I work 70 hours a week. When it comes down to it, I work 70 hours a week, and then I work out at least an hour. And if I'm on my bike, obviously I'm a slow runner, so your 8-mile runs or whatever. So I don't usually. When you say 8-mile run, I usually get on and ride my bike for 2 hours. So
I was gonna say, I go, what 8-mile run did you do?
Yeah, but my runs take me a lot longer than most normal people.
Right.
So that it's all relative, I suppose. But I don't know. I work 70 hours and I work out and I balance my time with. Again, if it wasn't for my wife, I don't think I wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way.
So for those of you wondering, the actual average from the last 4 weeks is about 12 and a half hours a week. So it's almost 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
While still working 70 hours a week. And the reason that I bring that up is, again, a lot of people say that they don't have time. But one of the biggest things that we're really, really good at being bad with time management as people. And again, I blame social media for a lot of things. And this is one of those things is, like my perfect example was yesterday. My wife was, she's like, I haven't been on Facebook at all today. And I was like, well, she's like relative. So then we did like the screen time, like check your usage. And she's like, well, there's no way that I was on for 45 minutes. I was not on. And I was like, your iPhone's not lying.
So what's your?
It must count in the background. And I was like, it's just, it sucks your time away and you don't realize it. And it's like, holy shit, how did I just waste? Like I waste, she's like, but I was not on for that long. And I was like, well, honey, you must have been.
Yeah.
And it's just, like little things like that. I can turn around and say like, oh, well, you could have got, a 45-minute workout in and had a social media break that day. So I think that the takeaway from it is, you get up at 2, and I'm not saying that people have to get up at 2, but you have to sit down and you have to look at it from the perspective and the lens of like, if I want this, what am I willing to sacrifice? You go to bed at 7, 8 o'clock at night. I go to bed usually like between 8:30 and 9 at night because I'm up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And this is the first thing that I do, but I've already got a bunch of stuff done today that
Mhm.
I could have waited until 8 o'clock to start, but it's like, what, I've got other stuff. If I can maximize my time, I'm more efficient. I have a better system in place. So, that's, if you're working 70 hours and you have a support system at home that is like, we're going to help you to achieve these goals. And I mean, and we'll talk briefly on, some goals that we've got planned for this year. And, it's like you have to be intelligent about your time management in figuring out, okay, how can I maximize it? How can I make my schedule, my home schedule, how can I make all of it work together? And if you
So
can't,
the other thing is you can't have don't use I don't have somebody helping me at home like my wife, because it's all like we meal prep. My wife just happens to do it for me. You can meal prep on a Sunday, and there goes all your time. You don't have to do it all week.
Mhm.
So cooking meals and all that stuff, I could still do it. I could still work 70 hours a week and come home to by myself and do it what I need to do. It's
Yeah.
all, you got to plan it out.
Yep. The goals for this year, like we were talking before we came on, Ironman's more than likely, probably in our opinion, it's going to be canceled, or postponed, or whatever however they want to get fancy with it. So I mean, you texted me about this crazy idea of the unofficial Cranberry Lake 50. Because I say unofficial
Yeah.
because it's not a recorded, like you don't go to Ultra sign up and register. It's 50 miles around the lake, or is it a 50K?
Yep. 50 miles.
Yeah, it's
50 miles.
50 miles around Cranberry Lake. There's a trail. So that's on the radar for in August, right?
Yeah. August 15th. Yeah.
And then
And then I don't know, Mike Seor and his crazy idea. He just posted up the 12-hour run at Green Lakes. I'm down for that in May. If I don't know if I can really do it, but I'll try. I don't care. I'll do anything at this point. And
yeah,
then
I mean, in the way that I look at it is, again, like with running events, it's pretty cool because as you start going, you kind of like you come and go out of like a motivational perspective, but then you're like, you know what, I'm tired, I'm just going to walk.
mhm.
I'm going to sit down and eat some lunch. Like you can do that versus if I'm riding my bike across the country. It's like you get tired. It's like,
Yeah.
shit, I
Yeah.
still gotta ride my bike again. Or like if you get chafing real bad, it's like, oh, I've got to sit on these sores.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's Mike Seor posted a 12-hour, you can do 12 hours, 24 hours, 100 miles, 200 miles, like whatever you want. It's just a challenge. It's a virtual race since all of these races have been canceled.
Yeah.
I'm working on trying to do like a virtual challenge as well. Still trying to hash out the details on that. But yeah, I mean, and then we talked about 100 and what was
So
the
if
138?
when Lake Placid is canceled, I want to do something And I mean, I ride my bike all the time. So for me, riding up Lake Placid, it's really not that big of a deal. Because I know it, I know I can do it. But something like the Northville Placid Trail, it's 138 miles. I don't have the time to take and through hike a trail like that, like most people a week or whatever.
Mhm.
So if Lake Placid is canceled, my goal, I want to do it in, I'll schedule 4 days, but I want to do it in 3
Mhm.
and just get it done. That sounds like fun to me. And I don't really know why that sounds like fun, but
'Cause it's chill.
whatever. Yeah. I want to become an ultra marathoner, and I hate running. I hate it. I hate cardio. So
Riding your bike's not cardio, it's fun.
no, riding a bike is fun. I love it.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna sign off here in a minute, but what are 3 tips that you would say to someone who has been, a lot of people are struggling in quarantine land, which is where we still currently are, with finding that motivation, finding their wherewithal to like get off their ass and do something. So what would you say, I mean, to them as like, what's a driving motivator for you?
Just to get better, lose weight. It's
Be
not
better.
about the races. It's you don't need a finish line. You don't need a start line. It's just, for me, it's just going out and doing things. You got to just set a goal. Once you set a goal and you put that goal out there, which is why I have my Facebook page and Instagram and all that stuff, and you have some kind of accountability, then you just have to do it. You don't want to let people down. So I put everything out there, and I don't know. It's hard for me to describe why or how to get up. And I don't consider myself a motivator or an inspiration. I put it out there, and people like seeing stories and stuff, and just go and do this shit.
Stay humble.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, if I can help somebody, I will. But I'm not a coach, and I don't have the patience to be a coach. So
yeah, it's not that bad. It's
all
pretty
I
fun.
can say is just get up and do it.
I mean, that's what I say when people, they're like, oh, I don't know how you do it. And it's like, you get up, like, I'm doing this 75 hard, which is like 75 days, and you follow like all these guidelines. And I'm like, it's for me, it was just
Yep.
like, all right, it's a good challenge. Like it's, we're what, 6 days in, easy.
Well, the other thing is don't think that don't look at my Facebook page, and I try not to be all rainbows and unicorns all the time. I fail more than I succeed. So just know that I'm not a Superman out there just training my face off every single day. Okay, so I do train off my face off, but
Yeah,
it's
but
not all pretty.
I can, and I can attest to that you have failed your fair share of workouts that I've given you, where the FTP tests
Yeah.
and the VO2 work, and and it is like, again, like it's not about the finish line. It's about, and they always say this in Ironman. It's one of the biggest. It's one of the big mantras in Ironman, and I think it's one of the most polarizing. Is it's about the journey to get there, because during the event, everything happens so quickly. You don't realize, you're not like, holy shit, I'm 138 miles in, because you're just thinking like, I've got to get to 139, and then I've got to get to 140, and then I got to get that last 0.6. Who the hell makes it 0.6? Like, why can't we end at 140? So from that perspective, like, you're so focused on the next checkpoint, or in my case, I always try to break it down with you guys into boxes. So like, the swim, lap 1 of the swim is 1 box, lap 2 is, and you're just, so you've got 2 boxes for the swim, you've got transition, you've got 2 boxes for the bike, transition, then you've got 2 boxes for the run, then you're done. So you break it down into manageable parts. instead of looking at it like, oh man, I've got, I'm 2.5 miles into my day, or I'm 56 miles into my bike. I've still got to go 56 miles and then run a marathon. Like, because that's overwhelming. So you look at it as part of, this, you're checking boxes along the day. But then during that, you have a lot of time by yourself, anywhere from top pros will finish in 8.5 hours to 17 hours. And in there, you're just thinking, like, you're thinking back to like those quality training days or those shitty training days. Or in some cases, like, man, I really should have not skipped out on so many of those run workouts or swim workouts or whatever, because now I'm struggling and I'm paying the price. Because we know you won't miss a bike workout. And so it's about that journey of, you set your mind to something like, you know what, I am going to do this. And then it's just go out and execute, just like you'd have to do for work, just like you'd have to do if you're going to be a spouse or, anything else. Is you don't just like wake up and be like, I'm going to be a good dad and then go sit on your ass. Like you go out and you do things with your kids, or, you fulfill that role in some way. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to sign up for an Ironman. But I think that like if people follow you, they see that motivation of every week, every Saturday, you're posting a group ride on Zwift. Anyone is welcome to join you. It's a no drop ride. So that automatically like lowers this barrier to entry of like, you know what, I don't have to be an Ironman to join up with these guys. I can be brand new to, riding my bike and still do it and still have fun. And I think that's what, and I think that you have the mindset, and mentality of, you're going to go out and you're going to push your body because you're, out of the curiosity of what am I capable of? And that in and of itself, I think is highly important, because a lot of times people are, tentative to, oh yeah, I would love to run an ultra marathon. Then sign up and start training for one.
Exactly. I'm not even trained for one, and I want to do it.
Yeah.
But I did 140 miles in an Ironman. I can go 100 miles on a trail. It's just there. But, I started, it was only, my first run was, 18-minute miles, and I couldn't run. I ran maybe 50 yards, and now I can run. I mean, I can easily run a half marathon. I mean, it's not easy, but I can go the distance.
Yeah.
So just work.
All right.
You gotta put it in the work.
Let's see what we have. Anyone? We've got good morning. Good morning from my mom. And before we forget, we do have to mention practice our social distancing, because as always, we are still in quarantine. So make sure that you continue to practice your social distancing until further notice from, Dictator Cuomo or Governor Cuomo, whichever side of the fence you sit on. All right, Matt, we're gonna wrap this up. But again, everybody, I appreciate you guys. Give everybody your Facebook, Instagram, whatever handles stuff, so they can give you a follow and see some of your content.
You can follow me on my normal page, just Matt Shore. I'll friend request, or I'll accept everybody's friend request. I don't care. And then follow the Fat Guy to Ironman Kona is my athlete page, and then Fat Guy to Try Guy is my Instagram.
There you go. And you see he's the first one to comment every day when we start the Facebook.
I'm usually driving.
Usually driving.
Yeah.
The throughway, so it's basically flat. So, all right, Facebook, that's it for today. Again, Matt Shore, Ironman, Ultraman in training through very odd means of training, but we're gonna make it happen. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Again, it's about, getting off your ass, doing something, And if you're on the Team UHP page or you're curious about what our virtual training will be for the month of May, I will be posting it as soon as I have a little bit more information on it today, hopefully. And then, but thank you, Matt, for coming on, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.
Today's Monday, so yes, tomorrow we will see you guys. All right, have a great rest of your guys' day.